Hey, welcome to the Conscious Mind Training Institute YouTube channel. This is a channel where you will always be updated on several issues, topics that are likely to build you, especially young people are going to get this channel very beneficial. Today, I have a few things to talk to you about. Number one, I have prepared for you a topic that is based on a teenage and young adults talk. So this talk is going to be done in two segments. Number one, I'm going to give you a plan or how to have a plan in order for you to stay focused. And then this plan should be able to have your short and long-term goals included, as well as some references to our holy book, which is the Bible, that needs to guide you whenever you feel distracted or so. And then number two, we are going to talk about how to avoid bad choices. This avoiding of bad choices will obviously keep you focused and all of that. So before we start, I am Franz Kanjilu, and of course I'm here on behalf of the Conscious Mind Training Institute, and I'm going to have you for the next few minutes. So a teenage and young adults talk. This is going to be done under a theme which is resisting distractions while on break, as well as beyond or thereafter. If that is the case, then how do you make sure that you resist distraction while you are on break, or after you have stayed on your break and then it's time for you to go back to your daily engagement? For young adults, this of course should be going back to school and engaging yourself in books after a very long time or a short period of your given break. Let's start. You need to make sure that you have a personal plan. This personal plan should be able to include your short and long-term goals. If you have this, obviously you are going to have a guide, and you are going to operate within the parameters that your plan has provided you with, or which you have included in your plan. Many a times when young people go for break, they usually lose out focus, and they decide to do or to engage in several things that are very, very destructive, which at the end of the day might be very detrimental. And of course, when you have things that can take you away from your set goals and plans, surely you will not really focus and achieve what you have already set. And if you look at what is documented on Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, is very clear. It says, a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What a man thinks in his heart, that is who he is. Let us quickly break down this. This verse talks about a man, but surely it is not about men only. This includes our female counterparts. Meaning we are talking about both young boys, young girls, young adults, both male and female. So it is addressed in this verse. Remember, it is Proverbs 23, verse 7. It says, let me repeat, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And when such thing is already given to us, it's easy for us to make sure that we follow based on what is there. So if you are a human being and you don't know when to do what and where to do it, it becomes a problem. But of course, when we have this guide, it becomes a little bit easy for us to make sure that we follow. So it is good that we begin to think positive things about ourselves. Let us wish good things to ourselves. For example, if you are able to foresee what you'll be able to achieve, you will not bring in negativity in your life. So think about what is good to you, what is good to other people, because if that comes from your heart, obviously that is what you'll bring out to the next person or the people that are around you. So if this is the plan that you have, this plan should include, I said before, that you need to know what do you want to achieve in your shorter period or in your short-term goals. For example, when you are on your break, this should obviously be part of your short-term goals. What do you want to get? How do you want to do your things and all that? And then include what you want to become after school, after you have completed your high school, after you have completed your tertiary education, and then how you are going to get into the work industry and all that. Those obviously belong to your long-term goals. With that having been said, so let's look at where to start. Number one, set goals that have to do with your role models. Do you have a role model? That is a question that you need to ask yourself. What kind of role model do you have? Who is your role model? How do you relate to your role model? And once you have that, obviously when you come across things that you are about to do and you consider the role model that you have chosen for yourself, you'll come to terms and begin to realize that, no, here I'm operating outside what I have said, because the role model that I have chosen doesn't do this, doesn't do that, and this will keep you within the parameters of your plans that you have. So when you look at these things, it is good that you then begin to make sure that you follow this plan, because we get young people getting distracted with so many things, and this is one of the goals that the Conscious Mind Training Institute has decided to embark upon, so that tomorrow or later our young people grow knowingly that they know what they're doing and all that. So let's start looking at how do we then stay focused and underailed from your personal plans. Stay focused and underailed to your personal goals. So number two, we should avoid bad choices. These bad choices are those choices that are associated to your peer pressure. This peer pressure that you get from friends that don't want good to you, friends that don't wish any good thing to you. These are things that you need to avoid. Where do these things come from? We have friends who are associated with bad morals. We have friends that have bad morals. These bad morals, I tell you what, it is a good thing that we can also find it in the Holy Book. The Bible addresses this. It's very clear. The records of the Bible says, in the 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, do not be misled, as bad company corrupts good morals. This is a very simple and straightforward verse, which you and I can use to make sure that we use it as a guide. You need to know what kind of friends you are going to associate yourself with. For example, a friend that does not consider being organized and all that, that friend is supposed not to be kept with you. You should discard or leave that friend and look for friends that are beneficial to you as well as to your future. Now, I have 6 tips that I'm going to share with you. These tips are tips that will make you learn or realize that this is the way the distraction that we are talking about come. How do these things come to? Number 1, and I want you to write this down. You realize that you will have people around you who are very distant or have distanced themselves from God. In other words, these people have nothing to do with what is written in the Bible. They have nothing to follow about what Jesus tells us to follow. And all this is easy to notice from people that we have around ourselves. So having said that, it is easy for you to make sure that you keep friends that are God-fearing. And when you have friends that are God-fearing, it is good because with them you are going to move forward without causing any damage to the next person, but considering that everybody is important and all that. So this also has to do with what happens in your lives. And then number 2, you will have people that have no respect for elders nor for their own peers. And the good thing is, still, I make reference to the Bible. Exodus 20 verse 12, it says you must honor your parents. Honoring your parents is the first step to make sure that you live according to the will of God. If you don't honor your parents, I tell you that your days are not going to be prolonged as they were supposed to, according to the days that you have been given by the Almighty God Himself. So number 3, you look at friends that they are frequently going out, and going out, coming back home is never a set hour or time. They go out and never know when to return home. These friends, I tell you, these friends need to be to be put aside. Leave them alone. Try to look for friends that are able to respect their time, or the time they spend outside their homes and the time they return back home. It is not good for young people to always be outside their homes or away from their home, where they are exposed to so many different dangers and distractions that the environment around them presents to them. It is not right. Let us stay away and make sure that we are always indoors and only go out when it is needed. Number 4, you'll have people that abuse alcohol and drugs. This is very common in our community or societies. Alcohol and drugs. As young as you are not supposed to abuse alcohol or drugs. Not even abuse. It's good if you even decide not to take it at all, because alcohol does not do you good. In your young life, it is where your brain begins to develop. People are born and it takes time before the brain really matures. And if you interrupt this process before the brain completely matures, especially by taking alcohol, I tell you that your future might experience some difficulties because of the taking or abusing alcohol during your young adult life or during your teenagehood. So it is very important that you stay away from alcohol and choose friends that are also have that demand for not associating themselves with alcohol. Those friends are friends to keep, and when you keep such friends, it's good because you are going to grow, or you are going to stay in an environment where alcohol is not really something that you need to consider as always. Number 5, we also have friends, or you also have friends who never think about revising. Remember, you are number 1 students or learners. Make sure that you keep friends that talk about your schoolwork, your books. Go through your books. What time are we going to go through your books? Where are we going to do that? Those are friends that you need to keep during your break or when you resume with your studies and all that. Lastly but not least, number 6, we have friends who are not fearful of engaging in a sexual relationship. Young adults as well as the teenagers that this topic is mostly concerned with, you don't need to have sexual relationship as a priority. It is not time for you to do that, and it's not time for you to think about it. So engage in activities that surely describe who you're supposed to be, and these activities should not at all border around anything that has to do with sexual relationship. Sexual relationships are not for young people. Sexual relationships are for people who are ready to do so. Imagine you having a child while you are within your 20s or your 30s and you are not really ready to start a family. I tell you that this brings pressure to your life, pressure that you will not manage to take care of, and pressure that will make you do other things as a result of not or failing to manage your life after you have become a parent while you are as well a child. One thing that I always tell young people is for you to consider, imagine you having a child, and this child brings you a child while this person is still living under your roof. Will it make you happy? Surely not. And the same is being felt by our parents when we bring up children while we are still under the roof of our parents. It is not really right. Let us refrain, and the best is to abstain. You stay away from sexual relationship, and I tell you that your life will not be disturbed because you'll begin to focus in the plan that you have set. Remember what we have spoken before we started, or when we started this discussion. So have your plan ready, include everything that you need to do, include everything that you don't need to do, and try to look at the friends that you do not need to keep. Let me just rephrase and give you a summary of what we are just talking about. If I'm talking about staying away from friends that have bad morals, who obviously corrupt your morals that you have, it is not right to have those friends, because let me give you simple mathematics. My friend who is very eloquent in this area usually says, when you take any number and you multiply it with 0, your answer will always be 0. Let us relate this. Let us contextualize this. Assume you have a friend who's having very bad manners, and this person is a friend of yours, and you are always hanging out with this person. This person, I tell you that your morals that you have, your good morals, are going to be reduced to 0, because when you multiply even 1,000 numbers by times 0, it becomes 0. And I tell you that when you have friends that are not beneficial to your growth, you will not grow as well. In other words, you become the person that you hang out with. When you have that bad friend, I tell you that you are likely to be a bad child as well, or a bad young adult. So this is not what we want. We want to begin to make sure that our societies groom young people who are able to make sure that they decide on good things for themselves as well as for others. I always talk about young people to begin to think about what they think about. Thinking about your thinking is very important. Whenever you find yourself being derailed from what you have said before, try to think about what is about to happen, or what you are about to do before you are going to do it. And this thinking about your thinking helps a lot, because it is a kind of reflective plan. You should reflect on what you are doing, and when you do that, I tell you that you will never and ever indulge in things that are supposed not to be done by you while you are still a teenager, or while you are still within your young adulthood, so that tomorrow we are going to build strong nations that are having well-informed people who make informed decisions before they do what they do. So this is the topic that I have brought to you today. Let us resist distractions when we are on break as well as afterwards. Remember, this is the Conscious Mind Training Institute, our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to click on that bell that will always assist you to have reminders whenever we bring you new stuff. Good luck.